This video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated online cinema streaming exceptional films from around the globe. Get 1 month free at mubi.com/cinematyler. In early 1933, Fritz Lang, the visionary director behind Metropolis and M, decided to troll the Nazis hard.
Das war ein Befehl!
And who could blame him? He was a cocky guy, and with good reason. He was Fritz motherfucking Lang, one of the most famous directors of all time. What was the reaction? Well, let's start at the beginning. So there's this Fritz Lang movie called The Testament of Dr. Mabuse. It's a talkie, but it's a sequel to the silent film Dr. Mabuse the Gambler. The Testament of Dr. Mabuse follows a hypnotist and criminal mastermind who went mad 10 years prior. He is now in an insane asylum where he writes out his plans for crimes. It is discovered that there is a gang committing the same crimes Mabuse has been writing about. The film begins with a detective named Hoffmeister, who nearly uncovers Mabuse's conspiracy before going insane and being institutionalized at the very same asylum Mabuse is imprisoned in. When the police inspector, Carl Lohman, finds evidence linking the crimes to Mabuse, he goes to question Mabuse, where he learns that he has died. The head of the asylum, Professor Baum, studies Mabuse's writings and is eventually visited by Mabuse's ghost. Mabuse's ghost merges with Baum, and he goes on to plan various crimes with Mabuse's gang. Mabuse's ghost leads Professor Baum to Hoffmeister's cell in the asylum, where Baum attempts to murder him before being foiled. The film ends with Professor Baum now insane and imprisoned in his own asylum, and we see him ripping apart Mabuse's writings. Hello, my name is Tyler. This is TCM, Tyler Classic Movies. You've just watched The Testament of Dr. Mabuse by Fritz Lang, a shocking tale of madness and mischief. So, what did you think? Me? Yeah, you. It was interesting. Well, interesting, sure, but did you happen to know that this film got under the skin of a certain up-and-coming group in Germany? What group? Oh, a little group called the Nazis. The film was in post-production in 1933, just as the Nazi Party was rising to power in Germany. And in the scene where Mabuse's ghost appears to Professor Baum, Lang had the evil Mabuse say one of the biggest Nazi slogans.
Denn der letzte Sinn des Verbrechens ist eine unbeschränkte Herrschaft des Verbrechens aufzurichten. Einen Zustand vollkommener Unsicherheit und Anarchie, aufgebaut auf den zerstörenden Idealen einer Welt, die zum Untergang verurteilt ist.
What's interesting is that this is actually the first time we hear Mabuse speak, as the previous film was silent. Despite this scene criticizing the Nazi Party, the actor who played Mabuse ended up becoming a member of the Nazi Party himself, and, quote, an eager follower of Hitler. The actor who played the professor rejected Nazism and moved to America. Nevertheless, the Nazis were not going to be too happy about this scene. 2 yellow shirts came to Lang and told him that propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels will confiscate the film.
I was very haughty and said, if you think you can confiscate a film of Fritz Lang in Berlin, do it. All right, they did it.
The problem was that the company that funded the film was going to lose a lot of money if the film wasn't released, and that would likely affect Lang's ability to make more films. Lang was hot shit at this point, so he thought if he could just talk to Goebbels, he could get him to lift the ban. But could he do it? Lang said, I have to admit that up to 2 or 3 years before the Nazis came, I was very apolitical. I was not very much interested, but then I became very much interested. I think the London Times wrote about the fact that I used this film as a political weapon against the Nazis. I put Nazi slogans into the mouth of the criminal. Well, one day at the beginning of March 1933, Fritz Lang received an invitation to meet with Goebbels at the Ministry of Propaganda, presumably to talk about his film. Invitation was putting it lightly, this was an order. When he arrived, he was greeted by 4 yellow shirts with guns yelling,
What do you want?
He showed them his quote-unquote invitation, and they sent him down this long corridor with the floor covered in huge marble squares, where each of Lang's footsteps echoed against the completely blank walls and high windows, barred and too high to see out. He reached another desk and 4 more yellow shirts sent him down another corridor. This happened 3 times until he finally came upon a round room with several doors. Suddenly a door opened and out came a polite man saying,
Mr. Lang, one moment. The minister will be ready in a second.
After a minute or so, Lang was invited into a humongous room, where Goebbels sat behind a desk very far away. Lang said that Goebbels could turn on friendliness like a faucet. He came toward Lang with outstretched hands.
Mr. Lang, I'm so very, very happy to see you here. Come sit down.
Goebbels talked for a while and then said,
The Führer has seen your films. And he has said, this is the man who will give us the National Socialistic film.
Lang began to sweat. Goebbels said that under his guidance, Lang would become the leader of all German film. At this point, Lang knew the severity of the situation. He wasn't just visiting the Lion's Den, he was being asked to be a part of it. He reminded Goebbels that he himself was not part of the Aryan race, because his mother, while Catholic, was born to Jewish parents. Goebbels smiled and replied,
Mr. Lang, we decide who is an Aryan.
Whoa. Hold on a second. Are you saying that Lang told Goebbels, this Goebbels, that Goebbels, that he was half Jewish, and Goebbels was like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yes. And Goebbels didn't care that Lang had an insane character that looked like this, saying the Nazi slogan? Shh. I'm getting to that. Can I? Wait, let me just show one thing. Okay, proceed. So, Lang knew he had to get out of there, get his money from the bank, and flee to Paris. Outside the window, Lang could see a large three-sided clock, and as Goebbels rambled on about potential actors and actresses, Lang could see the time ticking closer and closer to the moment that the banks would close. Lang told Goebbels, yeah, that sounds totally great. I'll totally be the leader of German film. Then Goebbels brought up the testament of Dr. Mabuse. He said,
Look, there's a scene when the professor who runs the insane asylum in which Mabuse died is driving home, and suddenly near him appears Mabuse and tells him certain things not good. The professor has to be killed by the rage of the audience.
Lang said, oh yeah, totally. That makes perfect sense. But in his mind, he thought it stank to high heaven. Goebbels told him that he would call him in a day or so and to wait for him, and Lang left. When Lang got home, he told his servant Hans to pack his bag with everything he would need for a month, because he didn't think he was going to find a job in Germany anytime soon. Wink wink. Luckily, Lang already had a passport from working in France and England quite a bit. Wait, so the banks were closed, right? How did Lang afford to travel out of Germany? Lang had been collecting these Japanese miniature sculptures called netsuke, so he always had 5 1,000 Reichmark bills on hand, just in case, which is about $26,000 today. But as he slipped the bills into his pocket, he noticed out the window about 200 yellow shirts gathering outside his house. The jig was up. Or was it? As Lang stepped outside, not a single one batted an eye. As it turns out, the yellow shirts were just preparing for a scheduled night maneuver, like an exercise. Lang sent Hans with some money to go buy a train ticket and then went to his wife's house. Her name was Thea von Harbo, and she was a screenwriter and frequent collaborator on her husband's films. I should also add that she was a member of the Nazi Party. And her first husband was Rudolf Klein-Rogge, the actor who played Dr. Mabuse, and C.A. Rotwang in Metropolis. She gave Lang some jewelry to smuggle out of Germany and stayed behind. On the train, Lang wrapped up the jewelry in tape and hid it behind the toilet in the vacant train car next to his, and hid the 5,000 marks in the dining car's complaint book. But on the way to Paris, there was a stop in Herbestas, before Belgium, for about an hour. Usually, the railroad people come around and inspect your luggage, but this time, it was a group of yellow shirts. The yellow shirts started at the end, and one by one, banged on the door of each compartment yelling,
Open up pass control.
When they finally got to the compartment next to Lang's, he was lying on his bed, and he recalled a direction that he had given to actors on his movie sets. If you want to give a good act, try really to do what you are playing. So he began to snore, but instead of banging on his door, they just moved past it. Lang was sure that they were just waiting for a time when the train was about to leave, and then they would bust in and arrest him, but nobody came. He arrived in Paris with his money and the jewelry, and lived there for some time before ultimately continuing his career in the United States, but he never understood why they skipped his door. It's a harrowing story, like something out of a movie, and after all, Fritz Lang is one of the greatest storytellers of all time. Was it true? There's some information that has come to light that seems to go against this story. But why would Fritz Lang lie about escaping the Nazis? Tune in next time to find out. A special thanks to Mubi for sponsoring this video. Mubi is a curated cinema streaming service for everything from art house to cinema classics. What's cool is that Mubi hosts just 30 hand-picked films. Every day they present a new film, and every day they take one away. It's so fun to check the site and see what new movie has been selected that day. They even put together special collections that celebrate specific auteurs and categories. They are currently running a collection called After the New Wave that explores the work of French directors immediately following the new wave of the 60s. Finally, a streaming service that is above all, streamlined. Try Mubi for 30 days at mubi.com/cinematyler. That's mubi.com/cinematyler for your extended free trial. Thanks for watching my video on Fritz Lang's escape from Nazi Germany. You know, this channel is made possible with your support. So thank you very much for watching and sharing these videos, and a special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon who will get early access to part 2 as well as some other perks. Check it out.